Hello, good evening, neighbors, friends, brothers and sisters. Welcome. This is your member provincial parliament, Faisal Hassan, joining you again another Friday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. And you are joining live Faisal Hassan NDP page and also Instagram, Faisal Hassan NDP, and Twitter, Faisal Hassan NDP, LinkedIn, and also YouTube. We join you every Friday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. to hear your concerns of the week and also to update you the work that I've been doing on your behalf. This week was extremely busy week at the legislature. Before I begin, I wish to acknowledge at this time the land that we know now as York Southwestern is a traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations Inuits and Métis people. Welcome, folks, those who are joining us on Facebook. Welcome, Brandon. Welcome, Frank. Frank says, good evening, Brother Faisal. Thank you for having this talk. Well, thank you. And also, Abdi is also joining us. Welcome, folks, and welcome those who are also joining Instagram as well. Thank you. And this week also, folks, today was the World Human Rights Day, and we have to uphold the dignity, the rights of all people. Especially here in Quebec, where we've also experienced a young woman who's a teacher, a hijabi young woman from Quebec, have been denied, and many religious people in Quebec, especially Bill 21, has created so much discriminatory and racism laws. And that's also today we are also thinking about the experiences and the difficulties that the Muslim women and people faith symbols wearings that have been denied those opportunities for working for civil servants, as a teachers, as a policemen, as judges, and so on. And this is also an important right that we all need to make sure that Bill 21 is rebuilt in Quebec. And another thing also, we've also this week was the National Day of Remembrance and Action Violence Against Women. We also know that the National Day of Remembrance and Action and Violence Against Women 32 years ago in Quebec, the lives of 14 young women were taken by a gunman at the Collège Politique in Montreal, in Quebec. On the September 6th, this week actually, we mourn their loss. Remember the victims of the gender-based violence and reaffirm our commitment to fight that hatred and misogyny that led to the tragedy. The COVID-19 pandemic has resulted in an increase in the gender-based violence across Canada, and during the pandemic, December 6th serves as a reminder of the need for action and a national effort for positive change for women across Canada. So those are important this week that we also reaffirm those commitments. Well, folks, joining me on Instagram, my colleague and friend and a candidate from Brampton South, Andrea Barrett, says hello to you guys. Also, Mahad says hello to you and says also, Andrea Barrett, good evening. Good evening to you. And folks, if you live Brampton South, Andrea Barrett is a great candidate. Work with her, support her, folks. So thank you, Andrea Barrett, for joining us this evening. Folks, also don't forget about the applications for the second annual MPP Faisal Hassan Youth Council are now opened. And the young people in our community, these Faisal Hassan MPP York Youth Council for York Southwestern provides an exciting opportunity for young people to highlight ways our community can be better and identify ways we can support young people across this province. And if you are a young person between the ages of 16 and 24, you are interested in making an impact in your community, please fill those forms and applications and let us know. And definitely we'll be happy to include you to join. Quickly, Brandon says here, today the province of Ontario has lagged 1,453 COVID-19 COVID. I think he says quickly. Let me just reposition here. He says, let me read it again. His comment, today the province of Ontario has lagged 1,453 COVID-19 cases. With the COVID-19 cases going up again, do you think that Premier Ford will put the province of Ontario back into lockdown? Well, that's a very good question, Brandon. My simple answer is no. I think we have come a long way and people have been doing their best. They have really, people have taken their vaccines, and I think it's a good idea that we are not out of this, as you can see these issues. But I think if you haven't taken your vaccine, please do so, and also practice social distancing. Make sure you wear your masks, and we'll be hopefully through all of this soon. And this week was the last week of the legislature, and I have an opportunity to be in my cohort. That we have a cohort, and my cohorts were the last week of this legislature, and I was an opportunity also. I had also opportunity also to question the government. In my role as the NDP Youth Opportunities Critic, I urged the Ford government to ensure young people in custody are given opportunities to pursue an education. And as you know, recently there has been a report about the Canadian Civil Liberties Association report that found many youth in detention centers are denied access to formal education. Ontario school boards are not obligated by law to provide education to youth in custody, leading to significant disparities in the quality and quantity of formal education among youth detention centers. And we need to do more. And folks, I know our justice system has a punishment component, of course, and rehabilitation. And it's very important that we not become our detention centers and our prisons do not become centers to train criminals. It has to become a centers where we train young people and opportunities so that they learn from their mistakes and they become better members of our society. And this is a very important as the youth opportunities critic to highlight this and see the failures of the government in this regard. And it is not, folks, the failure of only this government. The Liberals had 15 years and they haven't fixed this, and they're just been building more prisons. And now we see a lot of concerns for young people, especially Indigenous and Black youth who are in prisons. And I think it's important and high time that education is brought to those detention centers, so these young people are provided education and also skills, so that they will be able to have jobs when they come out of prisons. We can do it, and we can also even provide them trainings for skill trades, and also as soon as they come out, that they could also continue to look forward positively and also be a better members of society. So quickly also here, Frank says, even though same youth who have been released from incarceration, they are placed in safe schools. Helping previous offenders should involve integration, not segregation. Absolutely, I agree with you, and that requires a leadership that puts our young people first. I know people make mistakes, and when you make mistake and you are going to be punished, your mistakes, and because of that, when you go to prisons, the prison should be a place where young people are educated, have an opportunity to reform, being rehabilitated, and then have an opportunity for education. And the government's answer I wasn't satisfied. Their answer, they didn't have the plan. And it's not only this government, folks, it is the past government, the government of Kathleen Wynne and Dottle McGuinty and Ernie Eves and Mike Harris. That's over 30 years now that have not been given investments. Also, I had an opportunity also this week to debate about a bill my colleagues brought, Bill 52, about the smuggling of illegal guns. And we know that in many cases in our community, we had many cases of young people being killed in their own community, in some cases in their own homes, inside their own vehicles, or staying in their neighborhoods. And we know that too many cases like this has happened. And definitely was an opportunity for me to speak the perspective of our community to the legislature. And if you haven't listened to that, you can actually visit my YouTube and also listen to, and also on my Facebook, Faisal Hassan NDP as well. Also, I'm proud to report that also I have co-sponsored a bill protecting consumers, a consumer protection watchdog. It's very important bill that affects our community and across the province. And I am co-sponsoring this bill. My colleague from Humber Black Creek, Tom Rakosovich, and my colleague from Scarborough Southwest, Dolly Begum, and Trans Canahan from London North. And as you know, during the pandemic, we have realized and learned that consumers are not being protected. Many of you have come to my community, to community office, and explaining that many tickets you have booked and many halls you have put reservations, and all those money is gone. Especially reservations for weddings, reservations for halls, for events, and no responsibility and protection. We've seen also the gas prices are out of control and no protection for consumers. We've seen also the auto insurance as well. So consumers are taking advantage and there's no consumer protection. One of the recurring concerns I have heard from people over the course of this pandemic was the need to better protect consumers unfair and predatory practices. We have seen this issue with price gouging and businesses withholding services from paying customers. And depending on the situation, Ontario offers a patchwork of agencies and bodies tasked with protecting consumers. And too often, there is no way to go. That is why I am proud to co-sponsor a bill to create the Ontario Consumer Watchdog, an independent organization that will have the power to investigate and mandate compliance with consumer protection laws. It is beyond time to provide consumers with the protections they need to go up against the corporations who take advantage of them. And I know many stories that you have shared with me with regard to the consumer being mistreated by corporations and have not been held accountable. And this bill will do that as well. And quickly, I'll take another question here. Brandon says, thank you for mailing 2022 calendar today. And many of you across the riding of York Southwestern, you'll be receiving a calendar that I sent you this week. And many of you have received, Brandon have received, and others have this week. And that's good news. This calendar is handy. You can put it in your purse. It actually gives you also all the months, the days, and the weeks that we celebrate together as heritage of one another. And this is very important that you know them, and also religious celebrations. And if we have missed your community's celebration and cultural, please let us know, okay? So that we will include next year's calendar. And thank you, Brian. Brandon continues, also says, since COVID-19 cases are going up again, Do you think that the anti-vaxxers are the ones at fault for the COVID-19 cases going up again in the province of Ontario? No, I don't think so, Brandon. That's a very good question. I don't think so. A simple answer. I think the Omicron comes from South Africa, and I think there are some also anecdotes and experiences we can learn from it. But I think overall the community are doing very good. People have taken their vaccines, and those who haven't taken their vaccines, it's a good idea to take it. I am fully vaccinated, folks. So if you know haven't taken, please do so, and also make sure also you practice social distancing. Wear your mask, and make sure in this holiday when you get together, make sure that that protection is there for everybody. Okay. Well, thank you, Brandon. Quickly here, and I'll just turn to the Instagram, Faisal Hassan NDP, and my friend Ragvas Shal have said the efforts you put every week to talk to the community is amazing. Well, thank you, brother. This is not about a job. This is a representation, and I am accountable to the community. Because of that, I am accessible to virtually, and also my constituency office is also responding to telephone calls, emails, as well as also appointment to meet them. We will be planning to open fully without appointments, but right now we are also making sure to help the community, because this community have been neglected not only the last 3.5 years, because it has been a continuous fight for every issues, and there are some successes, folks, that we have gained since I've been elected, but we need more. And the neglect for the last 15 years has been also devastating in our community. But we need to do better, and we can do it better. And also my friend Chandal says, keep it up. Well, thank you very much. And we will be fighting for this community and giving all I've got to make sure we have a strong local voice. And remember, I'm also your neighbor over 21 years, living here in this community. And this community is my community. And I want to make sure that we give a voice, united voice, to represent this community. And the politicians always have been dividing the community. They have been exploiting the community, and we have many cases that in this community, the past politicians have continued to divide. I'm bringing the community together to make sure we address every single person who comes to the office, who emails us, who telephones us, that they are given utmost attention and consideration. It is customer service. That's why it's important to have a consumer protection as well, a watchdog that that community can actually have to complain about. Well, Brian, welcome. Misan, welcome. Also joining me. Ayan, welcome as well. And joining Faisal Hassan, NDP, Facebook as well. Well, thank you, folks, those who've just commented and shared their comment and also have asked questions so far. You are joining and watching your Member Provincial Parliament, Faisal Hassan. I join you every Friday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. and we have been doing it since the pandemic started. And earlier we have done on Saturdays, and now we have changed them to Fridays, and that's also your request in this. But I'll continue to do this, folks, and definitely when the holidays comes, we'll see. Since you are going to be busy with your families, I will also report next Friday how we go about that as the holiday comes closer, and we will be able to share with you updates on that. But also, folks, I'm also pleased that Bill 75, an act to proclaim the month of August as the Emancipation Month, has received royal assent yesterday. Actually, that was on Thursday. Yes. By proclaiming August as the Emancipation Month, Ontario is following the United Nations General Assembly's adoption of the period of the 2015 to 2024 being the international decade for people of African descent, to ensure people of African descent receive the recognition, justice, and access to opportunities they deserve. And I think before we reach 2024, we need a concrete action and steps to make sure those recognition, also justice and access to opportunity is achieved. We can do it, and we can work together. And this is an example also of all political parties can come together and deliver results. And that was also beautiful. And I also loved at the legislature on Wednesday when my colleague Laura May Lindo from Kitchener Center, and also my colleague and neighbor to the east, Jill Andrews of the Toronto St. Paul's, have actually spoke very passionately and have received the ovation. Really made me cry, to be honest. And many of the members of Cross the Aisle has also responded to that. And also thanks to also the Scarborough-Gilwood member, Mitzi Hunter, also, who also gave a passionate speech as well. And also the Green member from Guelph, who also spoke about the community of Guelph and the history of the underground to freedom, to come running away from slavery in the United States. And that was also a very really moving. We could do that, and we can do a lot of things together to make sure not only symbolism, but also to deliver results. And definitely an NDP government is ready to work with the community, the Black community, to make sure that we deliver justice, access to opportunities, and recognitions. Well, thank you. And those who are just joining, you're joining your Member Provincial Parliament, Faisal Hassan. Brothers, neighbors, and friends, welcome. You're joining your Member Provincial Parliament, Faisal Hassan, every Friday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. And I know, folks, in our community, quickly, I'll take the comment from Ayan, who says, good evening to you all. Well, good evening to you all, and to Ayan, to Melissa, to everyone who have joined on Instagram, and also YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, and also YouTube. And if you haven't subscribed my YouTube, please do so. Subscribe, because you've also have a lot of videos, over 159 or over 160 videos. And these are videos that I'm speaking about bills, statements, or holding the government accountable. And you can also go and, take your time to listen to those as well. And it is there on YouTube, and you can actually go through them when you have free time, especially on the holidays, to see the work we have been doing at the legislature, is standing up for our community, fighting for affordability, fighting for childcare, fighting for auto insurance, fighting for consumer protection, fighting for affordable housing, and also fighting for environment and climate and justice, jobs and opportunities, and continuously, also fighting for small businesses in our community. And the small businesses in our community still, brothers and neighbors and friends and sisters, need support. The recent news of the government's failures in managing the small businesses grant program continues to resonate in the community, especially with businesses that were inexplicably denied grants. Many businesses were clearly eligible for these resources here in our community of York Southwestern, and our office continues to pressure the government to do the right thing by these business owners. We also continue to advocate for businesses along Eglinton Avenue West, that is Kilsdale, that have been impacted by these construction of the Eglinton Crosstown LRT. And as we enter the holiday season, please be sure to consider a local business for your shopping needs, or satisfying your guests' appetite with the diverse offerings of local restaurants, shops, and local small businesses in our community. And I know that also Eglinton Hills BIA have been fighting with Metrolink, with the Minister of the Transportation, not to provide them just washing windows. They wanted direct support. I stood up at the legislature and I've asked the Minister of the Transportation exactly why our community of Kilsdale that is affected on Kilsdale and all the way to Mount Denison about the Eglinton crosstowns. Yes, we will be gaining a station, Kilsdale, Dufferin, and Mount Dennis for the first time in our community. That's a good news. Absolutely. But still, there are businesses in Eglinton Hill, BIA, that need support. And that's why it's very important that this government provides support they need now, not later. Now is the time they need that support. And I have asked them. They have also the Minister of Transportation and the Metrolink have provided $3 million to the BIAs, and already we have been informed that they've spent $2 million already, and that $2 million was just washing windows. Washing windows. Windows is not what the members of our community, small businesses of Eglinton Hills BIA need. They need direct support. And I will continue, folks, continue to advocate and fight for getting results for members of our community who need support. And we know also small businesses in our community have struggled, and many of them have also lost their businesses, mainly women businesses. You know, this pandemic hit hard women and racialized people, and we need to support them, especially our small businesses. We have seen also these governments supporting the big box stores, and that continued during the pandemic. And this is also clear, this government's priorities. Their priorities is to support their buddies, their friends, but what we need is to support everybody, especially small businesses, and that's not happening. We have seen the Auditor General's report with regards to this, that many businesses that needed the support, including those in our community, has not gotten the support they need. We need that to change, definitely. Well, folks who are joining YouTube, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube, please do so. And also, thanks to those who are joining also LinkedIn and Twitter and Facebook, Faisal Hassan NDP, Twitter, Faisal Hassan NDP, Instagram, Faisal Hassan NDP. Well, the end of the 2021 legislation session has arrived with Queen's Park's adjourning for the season on yesterday. We are now into the 20th month of the pandemic, and sadly, over 10,000 Ontarians have lost their lives to COVID-19. The government could have used this session to improve the lives of people, but I still hear from many of you about the challenges facing your families. And our community of York Southwestern, we are struggling with the rising costs of household essentials, auto insurance, and especially the cost of housing. Children are struggling, both academically and emotionally, as the government proceeds with cuts to education. People continue to wait for long delayed surgeries and medical procedures, compounding the damage the pandemic has inflicted on our healthcare system. Families with loved ones in long-term care are still yearning for a system that values seniors above profit. Instead, what we have seen from Premier Ford is a government willing to put its wealthy friends ahead of the needs of everyday people. He has chosen to support big box stores ahead of small businesses that have struggled for months. He continues to plow ahead with cuts to healthcare and education, and has failed to deliver the resources that public health agencies need to combat the spread of COVID-19. His penny-pinching pandemic response is putting us further and further behind. The Liberal Party and the Ontario Liberals also failed to present a coherent vision, providing once again that their focus is on returning to power rather than serving the people who they claim to represent. In contrast, I am proud of the accomplishments we were able to secure. We were proud to partner with the National Council of Canadian Muslims on an anti-Islamophobia bill and released a concrete minimum wage plan to respect workers with a wage that pays the bills. There is still much work to be done. However, I look forward to continuing the fight for important measures such as the introduction of permanent paid sick days and making homes more affordable. We need to keep getting help for the small businesses that actually need it and hire thousands of healthcare workers for hospitals and long-term care homes. We also need to invest in smaller class sizes and family signed an agreement to bring $10 per day childcare to Ontario. I am committed to these goals because I know how much they will serve the needs of York Southwestern. You deserve better, and I look forward to hearing from you over the holiday season. Well, thank you, folks, on that. And quickly, Ivas Riaz says, "Good evening, sir. You can just call me Faisal. That's fine. Thank you." And says, "What about friend workers who are waiting for PR?" And that's a very good question. I think we should be able to support people who are here in our community who are working. And I know that the immigration comes under federal jurisdiction, but Ontario jurisdiction have also responsibility. We have the responsibility of integrating and also the provincial nominee program. And that's a very important program that we partner with the federal government. And definitely, since there are many people who are already here and doing a fantastic job, why not to proceed them with their permanent residence? I think that's very important, and I'll be happy to work with the federal counterparts to make sure that the people we need in Ontario is here with us and doing a fantastic job. Thank you, Ivas Riaz, for joining us this evening, and thank you for your question as well. Well, folks who are joining us also, Instagram, welcome, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, and also Facebook, Faisal Hassan, NDP. Well, thank you. And parents in Ontario are still waiting an agreement between the federal government and the provincial government regarding childcare costs in the province. The promise of affordable childcare continues to entice parents in our community. But to this point, Ontario continues to be home to the highest childcare cost in the country. For decades, Liberal and Conservative governments have allowed the cost of childcare to climb, placing a strong hold on family budgets and causing real economic impact. It has forced families to make difficult sacrifices to ensure their little ones are cared for. Some parents have put careers on hold to plan the financial impact. Some are fortunate to have the support of a grandparent or family member to carry the weight and responsibility. Others are forced to rely on unlicensed childcare to provide the support that parents so desperately need. Well, quickly, Ifas Rial says, thank you. Well, you're welcome for joining. And every Friday, folks, I come here to talk to you, to be accessible to you, and to also come to your platforms on social media every Friday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Joining you in Instagram, on Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook, Faisal Hassan, NDP. We will also try our best to expand other platforms so that we could also come to you where you are. Well, Carlos Sosa, welcome too. Thank you for the fantastic job you're doing, especially the drivers of TTC who are doing a phenomenal job in our community. We thank you for the frontline workers and champions that are really, really in the heart of our community and for the issues that they have confronted head on behalf of the workers on the TTC. Well, thank you. And Ifas says, Welcome, Brother Carlos, and thanks for information. She says, welcome, and thank you for also for joining. Well, the government has consistently held back on signing an agreement about $10 minimum, $10 per day childcare. And the government has consistently held back on signing an agreement, and Ontario and New Brunswick remain the only two provinces saying no to a deal. And I think New Brunswick have already signed, but we're only the only province holding, and that's a shame. And it has to happen a result quickly. And parents are left wondering when relief will arrive. Action on this important issue is overdue, and parents cannot continue to live with this unreasonable burden. Toronto parents face the highest medium daycare fees in the country at $22,394 a year, and this needs to end. The federal government aims to cut the price of licensed childcare spaces in half by the end of 2022, before further lowering it to an average of $10 a day by 2026. It is time that this government do the right thing and provide the type of support that parents in Quebec have benefited from since 1997. Think about that. They have benefited in Quebec since 1997. Quality, affordable, and universal childcare for everyone. And that is what we need to strive for. And the advantages are clear. Parents in York Southwestern would surely benefit financially from eliminating the burden of excessive childcare costs. Labor participation will increase at a time when employers are eager to hire staff. Most importantly, children would benefit from social interactions and the caring instruction of an early childhood educators, professional early childhood educators. And I was this week at Queen's Park, and continue also to have conversations with my colleagues at the legislature, as well as also our own caucus. And I've heard from so many community members on the importance of this investment and the urgent need to provide relief. It has the potential to set the stage for post-pandemic recovery that is so desperately needed here in our community. Well, folks are just requesting me to invite them to come into the Instagram. I can't do that. I'm sorry. Unless we plan and arranged ahead of time, we can do it right now. Okay. Well, thank you for joining us on that. Thank you. I won't be able to accept your request, as you are requesting send request to be live on the video. I can't do that, and because this is not inviting other folks. This is also interaction between me and you. So if you are joining me on Instagram, you can write your comments, you can or questions, and I will read them loud and also answer. But I won't be, unless I arrange ahead of time, that we also tell the community that you're joining me at that time, then I will be able to do it, right? But I won't be accepting those requests, quickly as you come through the Instagram. Hope you understand that, folks. Those who are joining me live, you're joining your member provincial parliament, Faisal Hassan, NDP, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook page, LinkedIn, and also Facebook page, Twitter, LinkedIn, and also Instagram and Twitter as well. So now we have at least 5 platforms where you can join us live. And if you missed it, it will be there on YouTube. It'll be also on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and LinkedIn as well. So you can, whatever platform you use, it will be there for you to listen to it. And also, you don't have to wait though. Every Friday, to join me. You can also, if you have an urgent case or something you want to talk to me about, you can write it to me. You can write, and my email is Faisal Hassan co at ndp.on.ca. And that is my email. And if you want my telephone to call for appointment to meet with me or my team here, you can also phone 416-243-7984. Well, thank you. Those who have just joined, you're joining Faisal Hassan, you're a member of provincial parliament. Neighbors, friends, brothers and sisters, welcome. I know I've talked about childcare. I've talked about housing. I just want to talk about the importance of childcare. It is so important. Many of you, during the federal election just passed, many of you have talked about it. You wanted this to be done, and we have been urging the Ford Conservatives here in the Ontario legislature to do it. To do it, sit down, get a deal, make a deal, and move on, so that our families, young and old, to have the opportunity to have $10 per day childcare. And if they're not willing to do it, come June 2nd next year, an NDP government will deliver it, and we'll make sure that we make that deal to make sure that we settled this issue of housing. We know that the Liberals have been promising since 1993 for their campaign 30 years ago. And think about that. And now, for the first time, now they are having a plan, and we need to take advantage of that, the province of Ontario, and deliver it. And that's why we have been advocating and making sure this government hears loud and clear that we need $10 childcare per day here in Ontario. Let us have a deal signed. What are you waiting for? And I have rose to the legislature in many occasions, any opportunity I got to raise our community issues and issues that is important here in York Southwestern, and I'll continue to do that. Another issue that is very important in our community is housing. Housing is in crisis. It's unaffordable. No one can afford in not only in our community, but across the province of Ontario. And we have seen people have been flipping, speculators taking advantage of these big corporations owning so many places and just making profit flipping them. As we have seen, the Justin Trudeau's candidate in Vancouver, who have just flipped so many houses just to make a profit. And that is not right. Non injusto. It is not right, folks. We need to change that. An NDP government will deliver results. And have you heard many times I speak about this? My leader, Andrew Horvath, have spoken in many occasions and many times as well. And we have a plan. We have a housing plan. If you haven't read or got a copy of it, please do so. You can just use any searching engine, write it down, Ontario NDP Housing Plan. There you'll be able to read our plan. Our plan is so good because we have so much options for people. We want to make sure that everybody has something in it for them. If you want to, for the first time, especially our young people, cannot afford to own their own home. And I think it's time that we get that problem fixed. We have proposed equity loans of putting down those down payments, because sometimes it's very difficult. The decent, hardworking members of our community and across the province cannot put that money together at one time. So getting these equity loans will give them that opportunity to put down that down payment. We have seen this program. One building is actually being built in our community right here in close here in Weston, and that is the Options for Homes, Options for Homes have done many projects, and one project they're doing is in our community. You can actually, if you drive on Western Road, you can actually see that building rising now and getting being built. And there are many families there that have gotten equity loans right there in that program, that they have been given that down payments. Large families who could not earn their own place to live, even though it's a building, but it will help their housing accommodations there. And that's the kind of things we need to provide more people, more young people, and everyone that needs it. That's one of the attraction our housing plan has. So it will give people options to provide them that kind of home ownership. And another thing is also is to build more cooperative homes. We have seen the success of co-ops, because in our own community we have many co-ops, and they have done fantastic job. And I know that they're also struggling. What happens when they finish their mortgage? When the mortgage ends, how do we help them with capital issues? And that's something we need also to step up and support them. And I have advocated this, and I've written to a letter to the Minister of Housing and Municipalities, my colleague from Minister Clark, to make sure these co-ops are supported. And we need to also build more affordable housing to make sure that there are options, people, so that we can support them directly, so they have places to live. And that's also, please read our housing plan. And if you want a copy, you can actually write to me. Write it to me, fhassan-co@ndp.on.ca, and I'll be happy to send you a copy. Okay, thank you. Ifat Riaz says, Faisal Hassan, I want to make appointment with you. Oh, you want to meet with me? Excellent. Just write down fhassan-co@ndp.on.ca. Please write to me, and then subject line say that make an appointment to meet with Faisal Hassan. And I'll be happy, MPP Faisal Hassan, and I'll be happy to look my schedule and make sure that we schedule, a time to meet, to talk. And I will be here at the constituency from now on until the holidays, to make sure that I meet as many constituents who wants to meet with me. Okay, and that is great. So you can write to me, fhassan-co@ndp.on.ca, or also you can actually phone at the constituency office at 416-243-7984. You can do that as well. And those who are joining, you're a member provincial parliament, Faisal Hassan. You're joining me on LinkedIn, YouTube, and if you haven't subscribed my YouTube, please do so. And also Instagram, Faisal Hassan NDP, Twitter, Faisal Hassan NDP, and Facebook page, Faisal Hassan NDP. Thank you for joining, neighbors, brothers, and sisters, this evening. I join you every Friday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. And I see here, Brandon Machado says, the government of Ontario, announced today that the kids ages 18 and up are going to receive COVID-19 booster starting January 4. Do you think that the COVID-19 booster should be given to kids aged 18 and up sooner than later? You mean, Brandon, 18 is I think they're considered infant child legally, but they're also considered the beginning of adulthood. So if you're talking about 18 years old and upward, now they are going into adulthood, and I think if anyone wants, in my opinion, if anyone wants to get a booster, they should be able to get it, and that's an option. Let them decide if they want to have a booster. Let them do it. I have no problem with that. Absolutely. So if that's available, that's awesome. If they're going to get January 4th and they want to take it, yes, take it. I've taken fully, vaccinated. I've taken my first and second shot. And if you haven't taken any of them, please do so. and make sure that also you practice social distancing and also you wear your mask. Susanna, welcome. And I hope, Brandon, I answer your question. If I haven't and I misunderstood your question, please rewrite it again, and I'll be able to clarify if I have not answered your question correctly. Those who are just joining, you are joining your Member Provincial Parliament, Faisal Hassan. You join me on LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, Faisal Hassan NDP, and also Twitter, Faisal Hassan NDP, and Facebook page, Faisal Hassan NDP. I join you every Friday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. And as we get closer to the holidays, I will let you know if the last Friday of the year, if I'm going to join you or not. Let's talk about that next Friday. How about that? So we could make sure that then you don't wait for me on that day, but I'll make sure that Friday coming I will be able to announce it and say it something about it. Well, thank you. And quickly, Brandon says, yes, my question was answered correctly. Well, thank you. I appreciated Brandon for asking question and also sharing your opinions as well, and also your comments as well. Appreciate it, and welcome, folks. Those who are joining Instagram and those who are also joining Facebook page as well. Quickly, I know that we've been talking about things that this session of Parliament should be able to deliver it. It was an opportunity to do great things, to make sure that we tackle childcare issues so we could get a deal. We haven't done that. Auto insurance is a big issue, folks, in our community. And it is an issue that I have been fighting since I've been elected. And it's not fair. Many of you this week also have written to me about the unfairness of auto insurance in our community. And it is because of the postal code discrimination, simply because of where we live. And that is not right, folks. It's unacceptable and non-injust. It's not right. We can do it better, and we should. And we should eliminate and ban postal code discrimination, because auto insurance it should not be based on where you live, because your neighbor and your behavior is completely two different things. We could have one Ontario rather than having so many zones, and by picking which zone to ask to pay more and which zone to ask to pay less. That is not fair system at all. It's unacceptable. It's a failure, and we need to fix it. And I have raised my voice, folks. Many of you say that, why do we need cars to drive? It's a necessity in York South-Weston, because all the jobs are outside of our community. People have to commute to earn living. And because of that, and it's also a requirement, it's a legislative requirement that people have to have a license to drive and also insurance to drive. And the government have a responsibility to make sure that auto insurance is affordable and it is not discriminatory based on where you live. And this has happened again and again, and we have raised this question, and I have talked about it, and I've continued to fight for this. I have tabled so many petitions at the legislature. I have also tabled a motion at the legislature before the House was brogued, which died. And now also we need to fight this to make sure that this government, the coming session, that is next year, it's an election year too, after April, then we're going to go to election, and June 2nd will be an election day. But we need to change this discriminatory practices. Postal code has no business in determining auto insurance premiums. And also, folks, during the pandemic, March 13, 2020, to this day, people were not driving their cars. Cars were parked on people's driveways, basements, parkings, and so on. And still, people have not gotten a relief because of where they live. They're paying more. In our own community here in York Southwestern, people are paying on average of 3,000 or more on auto insurance. And this discriminatory practices has continued. You see also the broken promises of Kathleen Wynne and Dalton McGuinty. They had an opportunity to fix it. They had opportunity to do it right. They haven't. And now we see this government has sided with big box, big corporations, and they allowed insurance companies to do whatever they want. You know, and I know the insurance companies are huge. They're so powerful. But as your representative, I will fight to make sure a fairness. We're asking a fairness. And I have met with them. They've come to my office. I've conveyed that message very clearly and very loudly to tell them postal discrimination time has come to end. And they have agreed with me it's not fair. Then I said to them, do something about it. And the problem is the government. The government is not acting. And we need a government. We deserve a government that's on the side of the people, not their buddies, not their friends, but the people. An NDP government next year, headed by Andrew Horvath, will just do that to make sure we tackle the issue of auto insurance, the issue of the environment. Climate change is serious, folks. And I have been talking about our climate change many occasions. And please, if you haven't read, please read our new democratic deal with justice, climate, and opportunities and hope to provide people. Please check it out. And that's also an important. And here I think Hirsi just says quickly, I'll just read before I forget about his comment on Instagram. And he says, thank you doing a good job for our community. Well, thank you, Hirsi Abdi, for joining me on Instagram. Thank you, folks. Remember, next year is an election year. You have to do a couple of things. Make sure you come out in large numbers and send a strong message. Now is the time to donate. If you want to donate, you can actually go to ysw.ontarionDP.ca. That is my website, and that is our riding of York Southwestern. You can donate there, and within 2 weeks or 3 weeks after, you will get a tax credit, a very generous tax credit. So do that, folks, and that way you will be able to support my work here in our community to continue, and that we should be able to have the resources we need to fight the fight we've started early on in 2018 to continue to have an NDP government that Andrew Horvath is the premier to lead and to make sure that we deliver results. So all these things we have been fighting for has to be delivered. An NDP government will deliver. So think about that. Get involved. If you're not living in my riding, help the NDP candidates in your riding. Make sure you volunteer your time. Make sure you also, whatever, every dollar, folks, count. Don't say that, I only have $5. $5 counts. $10 counts. $20 counts. $50 counts. $100 counts. Thousands count. Every dollar is add up, and that way we'll be able. $5, for example, will give us one small sign. $20 will give us large signs, and that's also to make sure that we have a campaign, a strong campaign here in York Southwestern. Please do that as well. Well, thank you, he says, and the best MPP in Western, very hardworking. Well, thank you very much. As you know, one of the things really motivates me, folks, it's you, the voters. You are the boss. I work for you, okay? And because of that, I want to make sure that you have a strong local voice, because this is my community. I'm your neighbor. I've lived here over 21 years, not just pretending to live here. I live here. This is my community. And I want to make sure that we have a strong local voice to deliver results for our community. Folks, those who have joined this afternoon and this evening, thank you. I have been with you from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m., and I will be joining you again next Friday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. to talk about again the most important stories in the week. Quickly, folks, just saying a couple of things before I leave. I'll just read quickly. I appreciate, says Ifat Riaz, appreciate proper information. Thank you. You're welcome. And Brandon says, now that the Ontario legislature has risen in the Christmas break, do you think that the Premier Ford will record the legislature at any time? I don't know, and I cannot read, Brandon, Premier Ford's mind. We will see on that. I'll see you again next Friday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. And please, folks, practice social distancing, wear your masks. If you haven't gotten your vaccine, please get it. Okay? Until then, goodbye and have a wonderful weekend, a wonderful evening, folks. Ciao.